going on, everyone? We are back with another
horror movie
In Search of Darkness horror movie review. I am Depraved.
I'm Hellcat.
And together we are...
Hella Depraved.
Horror! And today we bring you guys our review of Full Moon High.
From 1981.
1981. This was the next movie in line. Funnily enough, I know it's not a word, shush. I predicted it. I didn't even know
another werewolf movie.
What was next?
Yeah.
We just finished recording, not The Howling. What was the one we watched after The Howling?
It was The Howling and then American Werewolf in London. Yeah.
Actually, I think it was American Werewolf and then The Howling.
No, because we liked...
Was it?
Yeah, we liked the transitions in American Werewolf better.
That's right.
But we got a lineup of a whole bunch of werewolf movies.
But at the end, I was like, next one's probably going to be a werewolf movie, and then we started watching the next little segment, and sure enough,
Yep.
It was Full Moon High.
They came in threes.
They did.
Funny that.
So with that, though, this is directed, written, and produced by Larry Cohen.
Mm-hmm.
Cinematography was done by Daniel Pearl, edited by Arnold Lebowitz. Probably Leibowitz.
Probably.
Music was done by Gary William Friedman. Production company was Larco Productions. Distributed by Filmways Pictures. Released on October 9th, 1981. Had a runtime of 93 minutes. This one does not tell me of any pricing in terms of its budget and how much it made. But I will say, on Rotten Tomatoes, it has only been reviewed by 2 critics. One person gave it a fresh, one person gave it a splat. But the audience score is a low 39%, which I both understand and am surprised from, only because I would actually rate it higher myself.
I mean, so here's the thing that we know. Having watched the interview with Larry Cohen, he realized that making this a comedy, which was his whole goal, and having fun with it while he was making it, did not appeal because, I don't know, Teen Wolf or something like that came out around the same time, and it's one of those things that one movie or the other tends to fare better.
Right.
So this is a comedy. It's a comedy horror, and it was meant to be a comedy horror. So in the realm of horror, that would make this a bad, good movie. Intentionally. And it's about a teenage football star being raised by a single dad who is a spy, thinks he's a spy, we're not sure. Takes his son to Transylvania, where his son gets bit by a werewolf. And is told by a gypsy, but I'm going to say a Romany palm reader, that he is doomed to live forever, and he will have to travel the world until he gets bored, basically, and then he's going to have to go back to fulfill his unfinished business, which, because he's a teenage football player, is the final throw or whatever on the football field, beating a team.
Well, okay.
I don't fucking know. I don't like sports.
When he was younger, the idea was beating a team,
right?
But he ended up not being able to do that. But this team that they wanted to beat, they hadn't scored a touchdown on
since he turned.
Even before that.
Okay. So of course that's his unfinished business because that's stupid. It goes along with the movie, though. It really does. So, he returns home with his dad. A whole bunch of shenanigans happen. His father dies, and he travels, the teenage werewolf dude drops out of school, travels the world, and then it's 20, 30 years later that he returns to the high school because he realizes he needs to help the team beat this other team. And he returns, and it looks like scenes out of, the Michelle Pfeiffer film that has As I Walk Through the Valley of the Shadow of Death.
They went
Dangerous Minds.
Full Dangerous Minds.
Yeah. And, the teenagers at the high school are, smoking out of their lockers, and this, that, and the other. Anyway, he blends in, tries to play off being the grandson because he looks exactly the same. Lives in his old house, tries to fix it up. I don't know, like, tries to avoid nipping everybody because he's a rather frisky, friendly werewolf. He does not actually hurt anybody. He ends up, like, it. All of the news headlines from having him around are like, frisky wolf annoys with nips, or I mean, like, it's all these synonyms for the word annoys. It's just very, he's a minor nuisance, basically.
Right.
Doesn't end up turning anyone because he doesn't savage them. And at the end, I mean, he throws the football. I don't know that, like, he makes the play. Like, they don't win, I don't think.
No, they were down by way too much.
He ends up getting shot by this psychiatrist and cop that's jealous of him, and plays dead. But he's actually turned one of the teachers that he had the hots for teacher, and ends up living his immortal life with her, and they show at the end that they have cubs of their own. And I mean, it's ridiculous, guys. It's just everything that I just said. It's just ridiculous. It's a teenager that never fucking grows up, returns to high school, which is my nightmare. This is where the horror comes in, apparently. It's not gory. It's not any of the above. It's just, it's fun. It's fun.
It's okay. So the cast, we've got Adam Arkin as Tony Walker, who I swear to God I have seen in so many things, but I just looked through his filmography and I don't recognize any of the names of any of those movies.
He looks like, oh shoot, who's the
Fred
kid?
Savage, probably.
Thank you. It's Fred Savage, yeah. He looks like, so
but
for the people that have seen Princess Bride and Fred Savage when he's a little boy in the jersey, he looks like the teen version of him. Same haircut, same jersey, the whole 9 yards. So, anyway.
Ed McMahon, yes, the Publisher Clearinghouse Ed McMahon.
Plays his dad,
Colonel William P. Walker. It's a younger Ed McMahon.
Right.
Roz Kelly as Jane, Joanne Nail as Ricky, Bill Kirchenbauer as Detective Jack Flynn, Kenneth Mars as Coach Principal Cleveland, Elizabeth Hartman as Miss Montgomery, Alan Arkin as Dr. Brand, Luis Nye as Reverend.
And then the rest of them, basically.
The rest of them. Some other people that are of note. There is...
Bob Saget is in it.
Bob Saget, who plays a sportscaster.
He's also in it as his younger... He was one of the people that the original werewolf was on the football team with.
Pat Morita, Mr. Miyagi himself.
Yep.
Played the silversmith.
Makes the silver bullets.
He makes the silver bullets.
Yep. So those are like little cameos. They're fun.
Right.
They're fun cameos.
I seen that it said Tom Clancy was in it, but it's a Tom Clancy that's in a band, not the writer Tom Clancy.
Right. There's some fun little cameos in there. Bob Saget looks like a baby in it. It's so adorable. Weird. Yeah, and then seeing how they aged him up to play the sportscaster, I was like, they almost got it right. Almost. So
Grady Desmond Wilson.
Yeah.
Was a cabbie bus driver. A lot of you probably know of him from Sanford and Son.
Well, and he's in it twice. So originally he's the bus driver, and then he's the cab driver, and
he pulls a gun on him. He's like, no, you got me 30 years ago, motherfucker.
Yeah, the werewolf dude stole the bus, and then the guy became a cab driver, and he's like,
not again.
Learned my lesson. So it's a comedic romp. I rolled my eyes a whole hell of a lot. I was like, oh no, you gotta be kidding me, kind of thing. There's definitely things that make this a movie that a fair amount of people would think didn't age well.
Oh,
I honestly thought it was funny because I'm one of those people. There's two types of people. But just...
the acting was phenomenal. Everybody did well with their parts. Special effects were
It was really good.
Fine.
Yeah, transitions were decent.
The transitions weren't on the level of detail that we got from like The Howling or...
Most wasn't even on screen.
Yeah, it rarely happened on screen. And I think the one time it did happen on screen, it did it in the phases type thing.
It did.
Instead of actually showing it the actual transformation. Honestly, over and above all, this movie does suffer from trying too hard to be funny. Almost National Lampoon levels of trying too hard. It
reminded me of a mixture of like Married with Children meets National Lampoons meets, just a horror flick. It did. Definitely stuff that you see coming that you're like, ugh.
Right. A lot of some of it funny, some of it not. One of the things I will say, what they tend to do with the humor in it, is it seems like they stick with a type of joke for just long enough to start to annoy you,
and then thankfully change.
And then they finally change it up.
Yeah.
So then it feels
so somebody got it.
Right. And then the comedy starts to feel a little fresh again, and then starts to kind of wear down to the point where you start to get annoyed again. And then it changes up again, and it consistently changes throughout the movie like that.
Right before you're ready to be like, I can't. Yeah.
I do feel like this movie could have been like 30 minutes shorter, and they could have gotten everything across that they were going for.
Easily, yeah.
So the runtime, and it was only 93 minutes, so yeah, I'm telling you, it could have just been an hour.
Well, and there were a couple characters in here that I was like, I'm not really sure what your purpose was. But they're tropes.
My favorite was the super clingy girlfriend
from
the original high school run,
right?
And then she marries the cop because he leaves town.
A classmate, yeah.
And the cop is the one that ends up shooting him later, but she knows who he really is, even though he tries to portray being the grandson.
Him, yeah.
So she tries to blackmail him. The teacher knows who he is. There's another girl
that he's like told
present day in school.
That is clingy, but that he's also told. I mean, like, so, guys, it's just really ridiculous. And some of that stuff really doesn't age well in terms of stereotypes and what you're supposed to joke about and not. Like, the coach in school is definitely gay and definitely interested in the boys that he's coaching. Makes some wisecracks.
Right.
I mean, granted...
What was the one where who was he talking to? And he's like, "Oh, you must know Coach."
Yeah, and just like, yes, but like you've got, even if he is older than he appears, he changed a teacher, and the teacher was okay with having relations with him before realizing that he was immortal. So
and he was actually older than she was.
Right, but she was fine getting it on with a high school senior. I mean, there's just the clingy girlfriend was not just clingy. We're talking stalker level, stage 5 clinger type thing, just chasing him around. And
right.
I mean, like, so you get some shenanigans that are just probably not. We wouldn't be making those jokes these days, but
I mean, some of us wouldn't.
They are still, yeah. Some of them are still funny. Some of them are definitely still funny. So, anyway.
With that being said, of the 3 werewolf movies, this is actually my favorite one. Not by much, but I do find this one far more enjoyable than the other 2.
Right.
And I think it's because the other 2 have things that happen that you're just like, that's a bit of a reach.
Right.
That's a bit of a reach. But this movie knows it's goofy
ridiculous.
And ridiculous. Yeah. And plays on it.
Right.
To a detriment in a lot of cases.
But it is what it is. Yeah.
I do enjoy it. This is proof that I don't need the bladder effects and the bubbling and the extending effects and the blood and the
slashing. Yeah, it's just...
this is probably one of the better horror comedies I've seen in a while.
It is a very good horror comedy.
I'm usually not a big fan of horror comedies. I prefer my horror to be horror and my comedy to be, comedy.
Right. I don't know. But... I probably would have put like The Story of the Howling first. I honestly actually prefer the humor of American Werewolf in London. With the, like, ways to off the friend just in the theater discussing them all and, like...
Right.
I like that dry kind of humor. They're just like, well, you could try this. You could try... I mean, it's funny. And I don't know. I mean, like, this is goofy. But it knows it's goofy. And it's okay with being goofy. So I would probably put all three right on basically the same level for different reasons.
Right.
Acting was superb. All three of them, the acting was superb though. So, you know.
I would definitely be more willing to jump into watching this more than the other two. Again.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, it's not by much. I don't think it like outshines.
Right. I give them kind of an even plateau. It's just going to depend on what I really want to. I mean, the story in The Howling, if I want a good werewolf story, I would probably pick that one.
Facial hair, what little bit I have is starting to grow back and it's driving me crazy.
So with that being said...
But yeah, so I believe it's your turn to give the first score on this.
I am going to give this a 3 out of 5 football helmets.
Right.
Yeah.
I am also giving this 3 out of 5, but I'm giving it 3 out of 5 moons.
Okay. You gonna moon them? Full moon?
I originally had given it a 4, and then I was like, I don't like it that much.
Right. I mean, like, if we're only doing it out of 5, like, you gotta save 4s for, you know, this was not that good, guys. Yeah. It was good in terms of good, bad. Like I said, it's a good, bad, and it knew it was gonna be a good, bad going into it, so, you know.
Right.
Right.
I wanted to give it a 4, I think, just because Pat Morita's in it. You guys don't understand my love for that guy.
I absolutely adore him. He's the cutest thing in the world, but he's also a cameo in this.
Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah.
And he's fantastic.
Tiny portion. Do not watch this movie because he's in it.
No.
If you're wanting to see him on screen.
You watch it to see how young Bob Saget looked.
He was so little. Yeah.
Oh, man. Both of those guys passed away. I would like to say too young. Bob Saget, definitely. I think his was a little out of nowhere for most of us.
Right.
Pat Morita, though, was pretty old. So
he was,
it was just a bummer.
You know, for us, it was a bummer, yeah.
All right. That is going to do it. Next video, I'm going to apologize to you guys in advance from the both of us.
Oh.
It is considered a cult classic, legendary status movie.
All right.
And we do not like it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
actually, this one, I had this one and the second one, or the remake that they did originally, kind of confused. It wasn't as bad as the second one. But we're still not fans, so.
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm not at all. Anyways, that is going to do it. We love you guys. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.